stream, and it'll probably say YouTube server, blah, blah, blah. It did not. Okay, well, let's see what's happening. I'm checking YouTube, waiting for Technorama podcast. Still waiting for Technorama podcast. And you know what? If it doesn't come up, one watching now. There we are. We're on YouTube. Refreshing the Facebook page. This is the exciting part.
YouTube.
We're doing the pre-show, just getting things set up. There we are.
Hello, YouTube. How you doing?
Facebook is streaming. And my old machine is going, oh, this hurts the CPU. It's so much work. We'll bring in the chat.
It is awfully confusing when I hear two of you.
What do you mean two of me?
Well, when I pop out the window for our Facebook Live so I can see the chat.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
I hear you speaking and then you speaking again. Because
just mute. Just mute.
I did. Well, I was trying to get to it, but I hear you speaking. Anyway.
I'm just checking. Who's got the lower latency, Facebook or YouTube?
I don't know.
Let's see. YouTube by a lot, it looks like. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you touched your nose, it was like 5 seconds later on Facebook. Interesting. Just a little experiment. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is Technorama. This is a podcast that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If you are just visiting, come on in. Welcome. This is going to be a lot of fun for the next hour or so. I got to make sure I have the right glasses on. Yes, I do. Pretty sure I do.
You got them marked?
Well, look, man, they look pretty much exactly the same. The only way I can tell is the arms are bent differently. There's my Clark Kent glasses, and then there's my Superman glasses. Ooh, these are the ugly. Those are dirty.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I've
you
been
do look
those.
a lot different.
Yeah, nobody recognized me with these.
Oh, hell no.
No, I intentionally got them to be exactly the same. These are perfect for the screens that are about a foot and a half
nice,
out of
but you know what?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I specifically do not have the same ones because these are some old frames, of course, but I had these made into reading glasses, so I knew which ones I was laying down and which ones I was picking up.
I can tell from the arms, and these are the ones that
but you have to look at it. You can't just go, oh.
Yes, I can.
You have to go, oh.
These ones sit over there, and these ones sit over there.
Hey, you go like this. Number one, number two.
Better one or better two?
I think number two is better. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you to everybody. If you watched Saturday Night Karaoke last night, that was a lot of fun. I understand that Facebook muted the third song, Tainted Love by Soft Cell, because of copyright reasons.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Is that the first time you've gotten bitten by that?
The first time Facebook has bitten me. YouTube complains all the time.
Well, yeah.
They never do anything unless it's I think they blocked one video that was way out of compliance, but just wherever I get my songs, I get my songs.
YouTube's big thing is monetization.
But what I don't understand is how can these TikTokers be doing this kind of stuff with copyrighted music? It's like you see these people dancing to Taylor Swift going, really? They're making money. I'm not. They're making money off of somebody else's property. I'm just sharing some fun, and I'm getting knocked down.
It's quite possible that TikTok has some agreements with some of these people because they're short videos. They're not.
Oh, not all of them.
I don't know. I don't mess with TikTok. I don't know.
I know that Grant Bachoco is streaming his Toilet Tea paper to TikTok, and that's usually like an hour.
You know, I don't want to get on another social network.
I don't either. I haven't downloaded it. I want to see how this whole thing shakes out. And I'm not the demographic to be watching TikTok, considering streaming on, but I don't know that our content is for that demographic. So
can you look at it? Well, I don't even want to sign.
No,
seriously,
I don't either.
Twitter and Facebook and
now you know how I felt about 10 years ago when you say, Chuck, you got to get on this new social network. Like, oh man, another one? Oh, it's like,
okay, so the shine is worn off. Okay, you got me. You got me.
No, you're getting old. You're over 50 now. Do I need another dang social network?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Facebook does check a lot of the boxes, but at the same time, I think sometimes they're a little big for their britches, but
they check the boxes for the people that are here, but like Most of the young kids are gone. The millennials?
Oh, I know.
They don't hang around Facebook anymore.
You know, I can keep up with the people I care about, or you know, some information and stuff like that. But that's the boxes I'm talking about. But I don't know.
I don't see me sitting down on the couch watching a whole bunch of short 15-second videos.
Well, you know what? This kind of leads into our question of the day, if you've already seen it.
Oh,
No, I mean the
okay.
Patreon topic. Excuse me, the Patreon.
Oh, the
topic.
Patreon topic. All right, let's save that for the Patreon topic.
So,
Nice
do you see
teaser.
the topic?
Let's get started
Hey,
with
wait a
the
minute.
show.
Do you see the topic?
I'm looking at it now. Okay, that's
Oh,
going to
there
be
you
an
go.
interesting
See?
topic.
It's kinda
Yes.
feeding in.
Okay.
All right.
So, Patreon people, you've got something to look forward to tomorrow in your in basket.
In your in basket. That's how you get the podcast. The milkman brings it with your podcast in a podcast
Do you know
basket.
how hard it is to make podcasts on punch cards?
No. Very difficult.
Technorama,
It
the
takes a
only
stack.
podcast on punch cards.
The bit rate sucks, but
And if you drop them, the whole show is scrambled. We call that encryption.
right. Or security by obscurity, I think.
Mark Trubel's watching, and Clinton Albert are out there. John Miller Jr. Hello. Good to see everybody. Share the word, share the video. Save the cheerleader, save the world. Oh, wait. That was...
Yeah.
Let us continue on with the show. I'm just going to do a couple more audio level checks. Give me a test, Craig.
Hello, I'm checking. Actually, I think I've been hot a little bit.
You
too
have,
much
and I've got you back down a little bit. So when I'm talking...
Have you listened to our past show?
I did, and Aphonic did a wonderful job of kind of leveling it out, but I'm going to try a little bit better to keep our levels similar.
There was a few spots where it sounded like
especially right at the beginning. I think you were redlining. I looked up in the
I
LEDs.
get excited. What do you want?
You really want to know the answer to that question?
And next week, from now on, we have no more Technorama. No.
That was not my wish. Wow. You read into that all wrong.
No, I don't want to know your wish. I'm afraid to ask, so I'm not going to ask.
Oh, what the people who only listen to the audio are missing.
I know, right?
All this pre-show banter. I think we're ready to
what?
go.
We should record that, release this whole thing as a podcast.
The pre-show banter?
Yeah, end to end.
Oh, then we'd have Twit.
Right. Let's see. As a millennial, I'd boycott this echo chamber if it weren't for essentially important.
If we didn't prepare anything, we'd be just like 90% of the podcasts out there.
We prepared stuff? Oh yeah, I guess we did.
We do show notes, we have stories, we have visuals, we have on this day in history. We do a lot of preparation for this show. We've just got really good at it, but we do a lot of preparation. If all we did is sit around and talk about nothing, well, we'd have 1 million listeners.
Oh, is that what we're doing wrong?
Heaven forbid.
We're prepping too much. That's what it is.
Ask Clinton. I think that is part of our problem. Been working for 15, 16 years on this. And some kid comes along with a microphone, starts yakking about nothing, and he's got a bazillion followers. How's that work?
Hey, are you talking about Clinton?
Is he some kid with a microphone?
Sometimes I see him that way.
Now who needs the new glasses?
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
Director's cut. Mark, we are way overdue for a visit, man. I miss you.
And John Miller Jr. Yes, I am drinking just water.
Yes, me too. I'm drinking smart water. I can track it with my phone.
Don't worry. How many batteries does that thing take?
It's rechargeable. I just keep filling it up in the tap and put it back in the fridge.
Right.
And then we will begin in 5, 4, 3. Technorama episode 615, the fun-sized podcast. Hey, Welcome to Technorama. This is the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the show. You are in for a big treat. Big treat. I love how I'm just doing the hand thing, and it's not even on camera, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
My name is Chuck Tomasi. Oh, if you're returning, welcome back. I didn't mean to discount these loyal listeners and viewers that have been following us for years and years. My name is Chuck Tomasi from sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Only the sun went down and now it's dark. Joining me on the show is Craig Stepp. How are you, Craig?
Excuse me, moderator. Can I respond to that? He directly addressed me.
We're going to mute your microphone for 2 minutes.
Yeah. You got 2 minutes to respond.
Go.
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
I want to see them do that on the next debate, and then one of them walks over to the other podium to get a word in.
Yeah.
We'll see how passionate they are about making their point. Anyway, we're not here to make light of the Tuesday night comedy hour. That was our presidential debate. We are here to bring you tech and science, and we've got a whole bunch of it this time. Very exciting, good stuff. Stick with us. Might even get a good laugh in at our own expense. Oh, just glancing at the... What?
Yeah.
What?
No, I was just thinking that's how that's the whole premise of that's our shtick.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get a laugh out of us.
Let's first tie into the listener feedback. We gave you a question of the week last week and on social media. But first, we need the song.
Letters. Oh, we get letters. We get your letters every day. Mailman, mailman, mail today.
Slide whistle.
Reach right in and
The kazoo.
those letters. I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say. Oh, boy. Mailman, mail today.
I want to hear that on the bagpipes.
Yeah, I think you got the wrong link in there for.
Yes, I do. But fortunately, you can click through one link to the other link. And we asked you last week, what is an overused word or phrase that annoys you? And Sweet Steve from Sweden came back and said, and so forth.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
that's a good
Sue
one.
says, well, actually, and I'm not even going to name the third one that was on our Technorama page because it's politically motivated, but flipping over to, where was it? Nope, that was the share. Come on. Where did it go? I got to do the shares again. I had this lined up. 2 shares. You got yours lined up?
I had 37 comments.
Okay, I had
Believe it or not.
84, but I'm not going to
So
go through all
sit
of
down
them.
and buckle up. Here we go. No, I'm not gonna read them all. We'll read a few. Richard Green says, "All right, all right, all right."
I would
From
find that
Matthew
pretty
McConaughey.
annoying if it got out of hand. Mike Will says literally. He's still guilty of using it, and there's a lot of people that put in literally when they meant figuratively.
That's true. Gary Lindros said, "Kidding."
Teresa says anything being over 100%. We're going to give this 110%. Good luck with that.
And my friend Scouter Catherine, she said COVID-19, which I think I'm tired of even saying it at this point. But
I put a couple of seed questions in here. I said, to be honest, which implies you haven't been honest up to that point. And Dale comes back and says, that one's mine.
yeah. I got another one here that but this one bugs me. My friend Jennifer Gaynor, she said, "It is what it is."
C'est la vie. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
somebody else wrote that one down too. We
Yeah.
also have At the End of the Day from Kurtley. And then Sasha comes back and says, I hate that one. Big passionate letters.
Let's see. I've seen a bunch of people say the word like, I guess.
The new normal. That one's
the new
getting
normal.
that one's getting
That
worn
bugs the
out.
crap out of me too, because I'm like, it's just temporary. It's not going to be forever. Let's see. Circle Up. Andy Flint, Team Circle Up.
Shauna says, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Again,
Not
like to
gonna
be
lie.
honest, what did it imply you were doing before?
Yeah. Well, yeah. What was your other option? Let's see. There was another good one. I can't find it right now. Fair enough.
Trampa says, my bad. And I gotta admit, I don't like that one either, because it's a kind of a wuss way of saying I'm sorry without saying I'm sorry. And he
know
writes, he says, what exactly is a bad, and how did you come into possession of it?
You know what? I think at first when people started using that, it was okay, and then after a while, it's like, yeah,
Just
yeah,
say
it's your
sorry,
bad.
or I
Yeah.
apologize. Is there anything wrong
Yeah.
with a good, honest, apology?
Mm. So I can tell you one that bugs the crap out of me that I didn't see at all
Oh,
on this list, and that's when somebody says, "What's on your plate?" or "Your plate is full." What's on my plate? I hate that one. That one in
you don't like that one, huh?
quick question, because nobody has a quick question.
Someone had one like that on my list too. It said, to make a long story short, and they always say that it was too late. They've already made the story way too long.
Yeah, you're 3 sentences in, too late.
And the one
Yeah.
I threw out, another seed one that I put, I said, anybody else cringe when they hear irregardless?
Regardless.
The
Yeah.
crazy thing is, my autocomplete put that in as a real word to finish. I went, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Why would it put in bogus words?
Here's one that my friend Shannon Franny put in here. I'm trying to make sure it's okay to say. On fleek,
What?
a word used by those intent of disseminating the English language on further depleting. What? For
I don't
anyone who
know.
uses the term on fleek,
I've never heard that
I don't
before.
understand this.
Okay.
That's
JR
the first time
says, JR says, I like this one too. Actually, I don't like this one. I know, right?
No.
Or they even just say IKR. I'm like, what? Oh,
Oh, I did that to you earlier.
I didn't flame you back.
No. Well, you said something I agree with you. I was like, I know, right? Well,
Well,
okay, fine. I'll
go-
just reply to you with an emoji next time. Just not use words.
just give me the trying to remember the character's name on Stargate. He's known for just saying indeed.
Oh, I
So
wouldn't
help
know.
me
I
out in
didn't
the
watch
chat room.
Stargate.
I'm having a mental block at the moment.
Yeah, the chat room will help us.
Alrighty.
It is what it is.
Gotcha. We're gonna try and use as many of these in the show as possible.
Bless your heart.
You win. I fold. Let's get on
All
with
right.
the rest of the show.
All right, Chuck, circle up and let's light this candle.
Let's dog ear this for now.
What's on your plate?
What's in your wallet?
Yeah.
Let's do the history thing next. We're having so much fun tonight. On this day in history for October 7th, 2020. This is the 281st day of the year. That means there's only 85 days left in 2020. It was on this date in 3761 BC that the epoch reference date of the modern Hebrew calendar begins.
Okay. It was also on this date in 1826 that the Granite Railway, began operations as the first chartered railway in the U.S.
The Helsinki Stock Exchange sees its first transaction on this date in 1912.
And it was on this date in 1919 that KLM, the flag carrier of the Netherlands, was founded. It was the oldest airline still operating under its original name.
I did not know that.
No, neither.
It was on this date in 1933 that Air France was inaugurated after being formed by a merger of 5 cinq French airlines.
There's a lot of air and space news in here.
Yeah, there
that
is.
same date in 1958, the U.S. manned spaceflight project named Project Mercury.
Ooh, what was it used?
That's kind of an incomplete sentence there.
It was rearranged by the.
Renamed. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Renamed.
Would you say remanned?
I guess I said named. I just
Okay.
said named. Never mind.
It was also on this date in 1959 that the Soviet probe Luna 3 transmits the first ever photographs of the far side of the moon. Notice they didn't call it the dark side of the moon, or Pink Floyd would have been all over them
Yeah, the lawyers were teaming up there. Yeah,
in 59.
that's right. And also, seeing as how the album didn't come out till years later. Also, today in 1963, President Kennedy signed the ratification of the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty.
On October 7th, 1996, Fox News Channel began broadcasting.
And October 7th, 2020, or 2022.
It's the palindrome one, Craig.
2002, the Space Shuttle Atlantis launches on STS-112 and continue assembly of the International Space Station.
They forgot their wrench.
With 2 periods.
Not anymore. Nope. We both deleted it. 12 years ago today, asteroid 2008 TC3. Teal'c. That was his name. Indeed. Teal'c. I had to see the TC3. It impacted the Earth over the Sudan. The first time an asteroid impact was detected prior to its entry into Earth's atmosphere. Wow, only 12 years ago. That's amazing. Happy birthday goes out on this date, too. Danish physicist and philosopher, Nobel Prize laureate Niels Bohr, born on this date in 1885.
An American computer scientist and academic, Henriette Avram, was born
Henriette.
101 years ago today.
I think it's Henriette.
Oh, Henriette. I'm sorry.
101 years ago. Canadian director.
101.
Canadian director and producer, co-founder of the IMAX Corporation, Graham Ferguson, was born on this date in 1929.
And South African Archbishop and activist, Nobel Prize laureate Desmond Tutu was born 89 today. Excuse me.
Desmond Tutu is 89. Amazing. I didn't know that he started out as an archbishop. English chemist and academic, Nobel Prize laureate Harry Kroto was born on this date in 1939.
And also born on that same date in 1939, American computer scientist and author John Hopcroft.
Turning 75 today is Scottish physicist and academic David Wallace.
An American singer, songwriter, guitarist, and actor John Mellencamp, you name him, born on this date in 1951.
And get this, he also shares his birthday with the Russian colonel and politician, 4th president of Russia, turning 68, Vladimir Putin and John Mellencamp.
They should do a song together. And born on the same date in 1955, American computer scientist and author Ralph Johnson.
What's he gonna? Little Pink Houses? ROCK in the USSR? I don't know what you want to do there with the song.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You got it.
65 years ago today, French-American cellist and educator Yo-Yo Ma.
Wow, he's turning 65 today. Also born on the same date in 1959, English businessman and producer Simon Cowell.
And turning 43 today is French comics writer and illustrator Antoine Revoy.
Revoy.
Happy birthday to our listeners out there for the 7th through the 13th. We got just enough time to do this. On October 9th, Itsuko Rumki and Mario are both on the 9th. October 10th, which would be 10/10/2020, that's kind of cool, is Victor KGAO. Do we know this Victor KGAO guy?
Yeah.
Okay. And Garrett Rafal. Bruce Barr is on the 11th. And Jason Schwantz on October 13th. Happy birthday to all of you. If it's your birthday this week and you're not on the calendar, well, we can fix that. Go over to chuckchat.com/wiki or /birthday. Don't spell that out with the O-R and no. Just, you know what to do. We have smart listeners. And go add your name to the birthday calendar. We'll give you a shout out at the appropriate time of year. Happy birthday to all of you so that we can get that down. That's the way it was on this day in history for October 7th, 2020. There we go. Ding! We needed a little triangle in there.
Ding.
We also have some. Again, this must be our Air and Space episode or something. We should have called it something like that. We have some news.
Good news, anyone?
Hey, space is the only place that something's happening beside viruses and politics.
Oh, don't tempt me. Why don't you take the first story then?
Oh, man. Okay. Hold on. I got it. So the Rosetta spacecraft, which we talked about several times here on this show, detects unexpected ultraviolet aurora at a comet. So data from the Southwest Research Institute led instruments aboard the ESA's Rosetta spacecraft to help reveal auroral emissions in the far ultraviolet around the comet for the first time. At Earth, auroras are formed when charged particles from the sun follow our planet's magnetic field lines at the north and south poles. There are solar particles strike atoms and molecules in Earth's atmosphere, creating shimmering curtains of colorful light in high altitude skies. I don't know why I kind of read it like that. So,
Because that's what the aurora make you do. Like, have you ever really looked at the sky?
yo, man, the colors, man. Anyway, a similar phenomenon has been seen at various planets and moons in our solar system and even around a distant star. SWRI's instruments, the ALICE Far Ultraviolet Spectrograph and the Ion Electron Sensor, aided in detecting these novel phenomenon at Comet S67P. I'm not going to read that name. Charged particles from the sun streaming towards the comet in the solar wind interact with gas surrounding the comet's icy, dusty nucleus and create the auroras. The IES instrument detected the electrons that caused the aurora. Excuse me. There's no L in that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, we've seen pictures of this thing up close because they actually landed on it. But,
Yep.
It's pretty amazing that you kind of see the sun interacting with those gases and making some pretty cool phenomena. So go read. There's some more details in there and some video. Kind of demonstrates what's going on. So
We
here's
like
the link in the show
space
notes.
Oops, I just closed the tab. I wanted to read the next story on about compact nuclear fusion. And we talked about this a few weeks ago where we're coming up with smaller and smaller nuclear reactors.
Yeah.
So
I talked about one that is a story from a long time ago where they were talking about making some small ones for neighborhoods and kind of
like substations almost
like substations, yeah, but they were safer and they were smaller because the amount of material that's in them is much smaller,
Yep.
but it was enough to power in the grand scheme of things a smaller area, which would be like a neighborhood or anyway. So yes.
Let me read on from the New
Please.
York Times. Scientists developing a compact version of the nuclear fusion reactor have shown in a series of research papers that it should work. I love that.
Should.
Renewing hopes that the long, elusive goal of mimicking the way the sun produces energy might be achieved and eventually contribute to the fight against climate change. Wait a minute. I thought they were looking at nuclear fission reactors. That's the way the sun works. It doesn't work with fusion. But anyway, constructing a reactor called Spark, wasn't that the processors that Sun Microsystem used in its workstations?
That was with a C.
It is. This is Spark, SPRC.
Oh.
SPARC. Construction of a reactor called Spark, which is being developed by researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and a spin-off company, Commonwealth Fusion Systems. Did I read this wrong? Fusion reactor. Oh, I did read it wrong. Compact nuclear fusion reactor. Okay, kids. Fusion is when you bash the atoms together to make energy. Fission is when you split them apart. Okay. I'm on the right track now. I had to make sure if I turned left or right or took the red pill or the blue pill tonight.
Well, look in your little pill calendar and see which one you took.
Forgot.
Yeah.
Fish oil again. Although many significant challenges remain, the company said construction would be followed by testing, and if successful, building a power plant that could use fusion energy to generate electricity, beginning in the next decade. This ambitious timetable is far faster than that of the world's largest fusion power project, the multinational effort in southern France called ITER for International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor.
ITER. It's either this or that.
I thought it was ITER because it was made by Apple. The reactor has been under construction since 2013, and although it is not designed to generate electricity, it's expected to produce a fusion reaction by 2035. Wow! 22 years to build this thing. That is a long construction project.
Yeah.
So, hey, we might just have fusion energy much sooner than you think with the smaller power plants.
Just in time for us to retire.
just in time for us to move on to quantum energy. Read on, my friend. Read on.
Oh, you want me to read it?
We're taking turns. Yes, it's your turn.
The same article?
No, physicists have successfully connected two large... We're moving on to the next
Okay,
one.
I do have that one up here.
Completely missed the segue.
Well, you think read on. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so physicists have successfully connected two large objects, speaking of slamming them together, in quantum entanglement. So we stride through our universe with confidence of a giant, giving little thought to the fact that reality bubbles with uncertainty. But physicists have just served up a sharp reminder that our own macroscopic world is subject to the laws of quantum physics by successfully entangling a millimeter-sized drum with a large cloud of atoms. What could possibly go wrong? So the researchers at Niels Bohr Institute
Happy
in
birthday.
University of... Huh?
It's Niels Bohr's birthday on the 7th. Happy birthday.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. You weren't listening to On This Day in History. You were reading it.
I don't pay attention to that.
I don't listen to what I say.
So anyway, at the University of Copenhagen conducted an experiment using 13 nanometer thick, millimeters long silicon nitride membrane or drum that buzzed lightly when struck with photons. Thank God. Those photons, or particles of light, came courtesy of a thin fog of a billion cesium.
Cesium.
Atoms.
It's the
Cesium
same
is
thing.
like a small.
It's the same
What is
thing
that?
that the atomic clock runs on. Cesium.
Oh, cesium. I'm sorry. Atoms spinning inside the confines of a small cold cell. Despite being two different objects, the millimeters long drum, man, it's Europeans. Millimeters long drum.
Careful, don't insult our audience.
Too late for that. And the fog of atoms represent an entangled system, and they push the limits of quantum mechanics. The bigger the objects, the further apart they are, the more disparate they are, and more interesting entangled becomes from both fundamental and applied perspectives, says senior researcher Eugene Bulzik. With the new result, entanglement between very different objects has become possible. So entanglement is one of those concepts that feels far more mystical than intuitive. And
Yes.
just like my reading of this article, describing a connection between objects that exist independently of time and space.
The idea of quantum entanglement is that you've got two particles that are in different places in space, and they take on the same characteristics, same spin, the same rate.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's same. Like, well, how does that happen? And it makes me think about transporters. Well, they have done two discrete particles, and now they're saying, hey, we've got a larger body. Well, that's pretty cool, because then if you could get two people entangled, you could have a clone, and you could be doing the same work twice as fast. Or you could be making two of something. No,
I've been entangled with people before. It's not good.
like that show we had a couple of weeks ago where Craig and I just kept doing the same thing. It was bizarre.
It's bizarre. Yeah, it is bizarre.
Okay, let's. You know what? What do we got for time? Let's skip over our break. We'll take a quick break. Let's go to our break.
Let's take a quick break. Let's do it.
We got a quick break. We're going to take a quick break. We'll let you hear a couple of things, and we'll be back with Hacks and Strange Stories and a Remember When.
I'm trying to entangle with you, but you're not working.
Oops, for some reason I played the 15-second one. Never again.
We got time for this.
Hey, this is Colin Ferguson from Sci-Fi Eureka. I play Sheriff Jack Carter. And now back to Chuck and Craig on Technorama.
Take a facts-based journey through the cosmos with Astronomy Cast. Join me, Dr. Pamela Gay, and my co-host Fraser Kane, publisher of Universe Today, as we discuss not just what we know, but how we know it. Topics range from dark matter to why Pluto isn't a planet. Get your episodes today at astronomycast.com or look for us in iTunes.
invite you to do that. They're back from their summer hiatus. Astronomy Cast is back with some more shows. If you're now that we're
okay, I have to go look.
Doing all of our they did. I think one special one for the summer sky watching, and then they got back with Mars being in opposition, which was last night as we record this. The Moon and Mars, the missions to Mars, all kinds of fun stuff. They do about an episode a week, and then they take a summer break. So always, as you can tell from this show, always lots of space, air and space, and science news for them to cover. Let's go on with, what do we have? Hacks and Strange Stories? We do. All right. So, time travel. You know what happens, when you go to time travel, you have the paradox where you can't change the past or you might not be born, that kind of stuff. Well,
I thought you were going to go with
your own grandfather.
Stanley Spadowski's definition. If you go faster than the speed of light.
No.
Sorry.
Now Craig is using UHF as a science reference. We are in serious trouble now.
Stanley Spadowski's going to save us all.
This is starting to sound like the presidential debate at this point.
Right.
If you're looking to travel back in time to change the course of historical events, an option that might seem particularly attractive in this late stage 2020, be aware that your temporal tampering is likely futile, according to a recent study. Oh, good. So you can't go back and kill your own grandfather kind of thing.
No.
Wait, on the other hand, if you are a hapless Marty McFly type time traveler, you don't have to worry about triggering the grandfather paradox in which you prevent your own existence due to your actions in the past. In both cases, any stopgap measures to divert the arrow of time will simply cause events to find a new way to produce the original outcome, reports the study published this month in the Journal of Classical and Quantum Gravity. Let's have a quote, shall we? It says, agents could have free choice to make any action they want, and no paradox would arise because the events just adjusted themselves to remain consistent, said Germaine Tobar, an honors undergraduate student at the University of Queensland, who co-authored the study with physicist Fabio Costa in a call. To be clear, it's not known whether time travel is possible in the first place. Yeah, well, at this point, it's not. However, Einstein's theory of general relativity allows researchers to speculate about what an observer with a time machine might expect from a journey away from the present, assuming it could happen. Closed timeline curves, or CTCs, are timelines that loop back to their starting point, are among the trippiest concepts to emerge from general relativity, because they suggest that an object could travel back in time and interact with its past self. With the help of Costa, Tobar mathematically modeled whether such interactions within a CTC would produce meaningful inconsistencies in a given sequence of events. Wow, this is getting pretty trippy stuff. You know what it reminds me of? Have you read the Stephen King story 11/22/63?
No, but I wanted to watch that.
It was turned into a show as well. The book was way
Mm-hmm.
better, but awful more repetitive because, you can't keep doing the same 90% of the show over and over and over till you have to move on at some point and go, yeah, assume we repeated that part. It makes for boring watching when you just keep doing the same thing. But in the book, they do. But what the basic premise was, he went back into the past to try and prevent Kennedy from being assassinated. Okay, we've heard that storyline before from other time traveling shows. But in that case, he actually did. And when he got back to the future, or whenever he changed something in the past, he came back and it was the premise was history doesn't want to be changed. It will do whatever it can to get back on course. And if it can't, then you've really run amok, because he comes back to a dystopian future and things are just really, really wrong if Kennedy dies. So, if Kennedy lives. So it's like the basic outcome, spoiler alert, we should have that on this show, is history doesn't want to be changed. And it sounds like that's kind of what they're predicting with this. If you go back, I don't know how history would correct itself if you went back and shot your grandfather. Like, he's dead. Fix that.
Yeah. Well, you can't. You disappear.
Well, if you
Sort of
killed baby Hitler, Is history going to put somebody else in his place and say, well, fine.
Possibly. Well, look at all the lives that were affected by him, whether good or bad. And if he wasn't there, then it would be a different outcome for all those people. So good or bad. I mean,
this said time traveling without mind-bending paradoxes is possible, but
yeah, we're still trying to bend it.
We're trying to bend this show to our will.
And this is a little bit I didn't put this in the article, but it's funny, or in the show notes, but it was funny this morning. I was when I got up, I was scrolling through my phone and I saw this thing. It was talking about the Back to the Future. Why did the DeLorean have to travel at 88 miles per hour to travel through time? I went, yeah, why? So I started looking through. Somebody had actually calculated how long the wormhole that the DeLorean actually opens up stays open, and how fast the car is going. And of course, the car is a certain distance, so or length, so you got to be able to move it fast enough so it goes through the entire wormhole before it closes. Obviously, so they come up with this mathematical thing that figured out that it had to have been about 88 miles per hour.
That sounds like the way that NASA comes up with what this acronym stands for. They come up with this clever word and then they reverse engineer it. You're assuming the flux capacitor is a real thing that can open up wormholes.
Oh, I know. Well, people just having
They're
fun with it.
basing their premise off of something that was invented and then saying, we can do math to make it fit that answer.
Well, what was funny was the writers, their explanation was a lot simpler. They just said that they thought 88 sounded like a speed that would be difficult to just achieve, normally.
Especially in a locomotive train.
Yeah, you go 80, that's one thing, but 88 it just sounded a little bit further out. And so that's why they did it, but that's why they chose 88. But I thought, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting read, especially how they were trying to figure it out mathematically. So I went, well, it does kind of make sense. You take in consideration the length and how fast it's moving and how long the wormhole's open, and you don't want half your car left in 1985. But
the trunk is in the Sorry, Mr. Fusion.
Maybe part of you. Yeah, that would be bad.
But while they were in there, did he see the Bajoran prophets?
Yeah,
while he was in the celestial temple.
That's right. Yeah, the orb.
The emissary drives a DeLorean. What?
Here's your parting gift. Here's your orb.
Now we're treading onto our other show's territory. We'll leave that for another time.
Right.
We see what we can get away with when Clinton's not around. It's called Technorama.
Yeah. He'll never listen to this.
He was watching on YouTube or on Facebook, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Our audience is somewhat diminished from when we first started.
We'll straighten up.
Yeah, sure. All right. Let's give a quick shout out to the chat room. Who do you see on Facebook, Craig?
Well, I see Mark Truble.
Yep.
I see our buddy Clinton, just like we mentioned, John Miller Jr. and Amy Bowen. And
yep, there she
Clinton
is.
Elward and John Miller Jr. and Amy Bowen. There we go. That's all I see on here.
And I think that's about all I got as well. I don't see anybody that you don't see. And thank you very much, everybody. There is somebody watching on YouTube, but they haven't commented yet. So if you're out there, we wish you all the best.
Speak up.
If they can speak, I don't know. Maybe they're mute. Maybe they listen to us on mute. They can type, yes. Or
they're probably wishing we would mute.
Use a speech to text thing. All right, then let's go on to... Oh, we have a Remember When, don't we? We do have a Remember When.
Keep talking over the music so we don't
remember to catch our show Sunday nights at 9:30 Eastern Time on Facebook and YouTube. Just go to our pages there, subscribe, and do whatever you need to do. All right, this is a wonderful story about Neanderthals and Denisovan DNA, revealing a surprising link to men today. And what I thought was rather humorous is I couldn't get the picture off of the website, so I just went to Google Images and typed in both of those. And Donna's going to show, pretty much Chuck and Craig from, 50 million years ago or whatever it was.
What?
Wait till you see it on the stream. Are you previewing the stream somewhere?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Okay, you'll
I'm
watch
waiting.
for it. Decades of teasing apart Neanderthal DNA has produced an archive of ancient genes that spell out a history of love affairs between estranged branches of humanity's family tree. Until now, the story has been rather lopsided. You see us now? That's our
I see.
podcast that's what we looked like when we started podcasting. Or no,
You're the
that's-
one with the gray hair, by the way.
That's what we're going to look like when we finish podcasting. These are
That's right.
forefathers. Until now, the story has been rather lopsided. For whatever reason, the most well-preserved material has come from female remains, leaving an entire male genetic history in the dark. Finally, however, Neanderthal, aka Neanderthal, because some people will say Neanderthal, but since it's pronounced Neanderthal in the Neanderthal region of Germany, I'm going to say Neanderthal from now on. Okay,
Right.
well, the men now get to tell their side thanks to newly conducted sequencing of their Y chromosome. Researchers from around the globe collaborated to successfully identify male-specific DNA sequences from the remains of 3 Neanderthals. There's our secret word of the day.
Every time we say Neanderthal,
Scream
real loud.
Well, it was recovered from the sites in modern Russia, Spain, and Belgium. All lived roughly 38,000 to 53,000 years ago, about the time we started podcasting.
Yeah.
It was in what's essentially the twilight years of the now extinct humans. Oh, that's when they were dying out. These were compared with similar genes in their more eastern cousin, the Denisovan, or Denisovan. I never really heard that word pronounced, so I'm guessing. That represented by 2 sets of Siberian remains from individuals who lived around 70,000 to 120,000 years ago. I'm so glad we don't have to convert that to metric or anything. If we didn't know any better, we might guess these Neanderthals and Denisovan men would have been fairly similar chromosomes. After all, they split from the same stock that divorced modern humans about 800,000 years ago, and their only separation was much more recent, about 400,000 years ago. That wasn't what the researchers found out at all. Rather, that the Y chromosomes in the Neanderthals was much closer match for ours than it was for Denisovans. This was quite a surprise to us, said
and us too.
evolutionary geneticist Martin Peter from the Max Planck Institute of Evolutionary Anthropology, the study's lead author. He says, we know from studying their autosomal, I've never heard that word before, that's a kind of DNA, that the Neanderthals and Denisovans were closely related, and that humans living today are their more distant evolutionary cousins. Before we first looked at the data, we expected that the Y chromosomes would show a similar picture. The discrepancy implies a swap took place shortly after the separation. They swapped the babies around.
I was going to say, somebody left the hospital with the wrong baby.
I think so. Is this your Neanderthal or my Denisovan? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they look similar, but
You got your Neanderthal in my Denisovan. You got your Denisovan in my Neanderthal. 2 great hominids that taste great together. So
Neanderthal.
Once again, science surprises us by finding new data because they didn't really have all the male DNA out there to make this comparison. But again, this is a small subsample. You know, as we find out more, we'll share it with you. But
You know
always
what
fun.
2 Neanderthals did?
Oh no.
They went out partying. They went clubbing.
Yes. Oh, okay. Well, for that, my friend, you get it. You earned that one. They went clubbing. Well, at least you didn't say it was the Inuit on the ice with the seals. Okay.
Hey, you know what the Neanderthal said as a pickup line?
No.
Hey, baby, I'm fully erect. Okay, move on.
I'm waiting to use the said trombone. I really am. Let's move
on.
on.
I'm going
Okay.
to stop there.
Thank you to our patrons. Let's move on to the happier part of the show. The patrons. These are the people who actually think this show is worthy enough to donate some money. As little as $1 a show over at patreon.com/Technorama podcast. People like Alexis Duran, Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Avner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown, Chris MC, Dandy Man Coyer, Danny Mortensen, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, thank you everybody who's contributed, Gary Lindros, Harold McKinstry, John Clifford, John Noble, that John Noble, Our John Noble, Yorga Shrawan, Christina, Kyle Nishioka, Leon, Mark Kilfoyle, Mike Wills, Night Gig Studios, Saturday Morning Media, Stephen Weshy, Steve Therian, Spiffy, Steve Cody, and Sweet Steve London. That's right. If you want to be part of this crew, you can do so by going over to patreon.com. I thought I said stop on the music. Stop music, stop.
Yeah. Enough.
Patreon.com/Technorama podcast. And we get you not only a shout out on the show, but hopefully we'll get to travel again soon and send you a postcard. And we'll also, because the last one went out last March, so we should be able to get you one in 2021 as well. You also get special content available only to our Patreon people where we have our super duper secret discussion. All right, that means it's time for Pass Me the Remote.
All right.
Okay, you got one? Okay, thanks. Wait, hey. How did that? What was that? Wasn't a remote. Was it a remote to your vacuum cleaner? Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
See what happens when we try to set things up? It just doesn't work. That was a visual gag that only the people watching the video are going to hear. Sorry, audio podcast listeners. That's right. Craig passed me a remote, and then it was different than the one he passed me. It went through some sort of quantum flux entanglement thing.
You know what? I texted you earlier, and I said, just go get a remote. I knew exactly what you're going to... All right. Never mind.
Anyway.
Hey, by the way, before you start with this one, I know you're going to talk about Challenger, the final flight.
We might as well make this our Air and Space episode. Why not?
So the reason I wanted to say something first before you started this, I haven't watched it yet. But I did see the promo, a couple months ago for it. So I was looking forward to seeing this. And the promo was almost 100%. I would have sworn that was taken. They shot that in my old schoolroom because they show the kids sitting in the schoolroom. They reel in the TV, and the TV's on a media cart. And I was thinking, this is exactly the way it was when I was sitting in school, and it's they started showing it. So
you would have been in high school in '86, wouldn't you? Yeah,
I graduated in '87. So as soon as they showed that promo, I was like, whoa, that really took me back. It was kind of eerie. But I know I wasn't the only one that had that kind of experience because at that time the teacher was going up, and
and I think that most of the schoolroom shots were from either Krista McAuliffe's classroom or similar classroom. So what we're talking about is the show Challenger, the final flight on Netflix. 3-part series. They cover the event, right from the start, and they say, here's what happened. And then they go back and say, how did we get started with the shuttle program? What did it take to get us here? They do a little bit of history. What led up to that? The whole Morton Thiokol O-ring issue. Who knew? Who said what? Who objected to this? Got into the whole story and how preventable this was, that it really didn't have to happen. And sometimes when you're in that time frame, you're catching the evening news as it comes in, but you don't really have the complete narrative stitched together. So it was nice to go back and see what pieces fit in. They had the engineers, they had the executives, they had the NASA officials, the people who said, we're going to launch. It came down to money, because NASA promised, they got funding from the government to make a certain amount of launches, and they had a schedule to keep. And even though they knew there were risks with the equipment, they said, we're going to keep on schedule, come hell or high water. And then eventually that set them back about 3 years because they canceled the program.
Well, I think that because of their success with the program up to that point, it probably gave them a little more confidence than they should have had.
Oh, yeah. NASA could do no wrong. I mean, aside from, Apollo 1 and a couple of minor things here and there, no problems. Well, yeah.
So you enjoyed this? I mean,
I did. I enjoyed it very much. It was a nice look back, a nice way to, it was a tragic event. Don't get me wrong, but it was a good documentary and put together. I enjoyed hearing the story from the people who were in the room making these decisions and setting these discussions, and the engineers, and like I said, all the pertinent parties that were involved. Those of whom are still around.
So, what was the most surprising fact that you learned by watching this that you didn't know?
The guy who said launch, even though he knew there were O-ring issues and the cold was a major factor. The one guy who said, we are going to launch, it was up to him. He still believes that was the right decision to make. That was the stunning part. Like, dude, really?
How can you stand... Knowing what you
gotta
know now,
watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta watch it. That's all. That was the stunning part.
Well, it is on my
for me.
list. I'm definitely going to watch that.
Yep.
I loved every bit of the shuttle program, and I broke my heart when that happened. Well, a lot of people, but I love that thing.
That pretty much brings us up to the end of the show. We've got our question of the week. We need a little stinger or something for question of the week. I don't know. Would this work?
Boom-yow.
It's time for Technorama Question of the Week!
And cut. All right.
Wow, that was pretty epic music for our question. Given the level of technology we have available today, what still impresses you? Are you talking about what impresses you, like, about the technology today, or going back a few years, like people can actually walk upright?
Well, we've had the internet for 25 years or so, maybe some more than others, but I always think, sometimes I always wonder, it impresses me that it actually still works. I'm able to copy a file over to you or something like that. So
I don't know. You didn't see the Zoom call with my parents this afternoon. Their call kept freezing, and only one party can talk at a time. I'm not sure that's most effective, but I mean, you're right. The fact that you can.
And that's funny that I was gonna say, it's funny because you're actually freezing right now. So so it's not working.
Not on my end. Looks fine here. Check your internet. Kim's watching movies again. Harrison's downloading a bunch of large files.
Yeah, probably.
So, yeah, we want to hear from
that
you.
kind of thing. Yeah. So, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that messages can get from, we're having a video conversation. This is Jetson stuff, man. That we're having a video conversation, but that we can record this and people can watch it pretty much forever now. It's out there. It's been recorded. It's on the internet. It's an archive. We can go back and watch a video we made 10 years ago, or listen to a podcast we made 15 years ago. It's there. Unless, of course, somebody takes it down, but we'll see what happens.
Thanks, copyright.
Then we turn around and go, thanks, archive.org.
Yeah.
All right.
That is pretty cool. And actually, I'll tell you, to build onto that, what's equally impressive is how many businesses have blossomed and people have thrived because of just being on the internet. Yeah, making a living, but just because you can send that message. Kind of mind-boggling. Anyway.
Well, you and I probably wouldn't have a job if it wasn't there. Not the job we have today, anyway.
I wouldn't have the job. I possibly wouldn't have the job I have today. Yes.
Right.
Let's say hopefully I'd be working somewhere.
Working in a coal mine, going down.
Yeah, shoveling.
All right. That takes us to the end of the show. We want to thank you for joining us on video, on audio, wherever you are, in your ear holes. Thank you. See you again next Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, or whatever that is in your time zone. You do the calculations. I know time clock changing is coming up in about a month, so good luck with that. Get a hold of us on the listener line if you've got an answer to our question of the week. Call us 707-530-2428. We'd love to hear from you, or send us an email, technorama@chuckchat.com. Until then, see you on the internet, I guess.
Yeah, we'll be there.
And Craig, would you give us the traditional sign-off? It was a binary something or other. I can't remember.
Yeah. I think it's the binary high five. So 101, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.
Hey, wait, can I respond to that?
Comments are closed. All right, audio recording is stopped. We are going to let the video roll for just a few more minutes while we thank the wonderful people who have joined us on Facebook and YouTube. Still nobody commented on YouTube. Not sure what's up with that person, but thank you for watching anyway. I almost said thank you for watching irregardless.
Right, irregardless.
It was tempting. It was right there. Could have reached out and got it. So thank you, Amy Bowen and Mark Trubel and Clinton and John Miller Jr., everybody who joined us on Facebook. Whether you're watching live or you're watching sometime later, we appreciate it very much. And we will see you again real soon. Right now, we're going to record our Patreon show in audio format and release it to those wonderful people who have donated to the show. Oh, look at that. Donna does one more wonderful caption for our Patreon people. Patreon.com/Technorama podcast, as little as $1 a show. Blah, 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 blah. You know. All right. Thank you very much, Donna. And we may
Thank you, Miss Technorama.
Stop the streaming.